So starting with question number 4.22a, if I cap and j cap are unit vectors along x-axis and y-axis respectively, then what is the magnitude and direction of I cap plus j cap and I cap minus j cap? So this is your question. So the um, first step how we need to solve this is we want I cap and j cap, and then we have to add those two vectors and subtract those two vectors, okay, and we have to find the magnitude and direction for them. So let us see how to do that. So first we will mark the y-axis and the x-axis, and I cap and j cap are unit vectors along the x-axis and y-axis. So now what we will do is, in order to add these two vectors, we need to find out the resultant of I and j. Okay, so what you will be getting, the resultant of I and j will be given in this format, and this value, this vector, so if I name this as O, this point is A, this point is B, and this point is C, then I can write OC vector is equal to OA vector plus OB vector. So what is OC vector? We don't know. Okay, so OC vector is equal to I cap plus j cap. Yes, so what is the magnitude and direction of this? So the magnitude of this vector will be, magnitude of OC vector is equal to square root of 1 square plus 1 square, which is equal to root 2. And the direction, okay, so the direction means what angle it is making with the x-axis. So that will be tan theta is equal to y by x. Okay, so what is the value of y? Y is 1 and x also is 1. That is the magnitude of y and magnitude of x is equal to 1. So instead of that I can write like this. Okay, magnitude of x component. So that will be equal to 1 by 1. So tan theta is equal to 1. So which value of theta will give you 1? So tan 45 is equal to 1. Okay, so you have to take the inverse. So the magnitude is root 2 and the direction is 45. So this was for positive. Okay, that is I cap plus j cap. Now how you will do for negative? So negative we want I cap minus j cap. So minus j cap, we will take the reflection of j cap along this axis, and if you take the resultant of I and minus j, what answer will you get? So this is the resultant of I cap plus minus j cap, so that is equal to I cap minus j cap, as simple as that. So the same thing we will do. So we will take, let me point this number as d. Okay, so OD vector is equal to, and let this be E, is equal to O, so I'll write OA vector plus OE vector. Okay, what is OA? It is I cap plus minus j cap. Okay, so this will be your OD, which is equal to I cap minus j cap. So the magnitude for this will be 1 square plus 1 square, so that is equal to root 2. So you can see clearly both the cases the magnitude is same. Okay, and only the direction will be different now. So we'll see what is the direction. So we have tan theta is equal to y by x, isn't it? So what is the y value? Y value is minus 1 and x value is plus 1. So tan theta is equal to minus 1. So theta is equal to minus 45 degree. So you can clearly see here your theta value is minus 45. Okay, so this is minus 45 degree, meaning it is below the x-axis. The negative sign indicates it is below the x-axis, and this angle is plus 45 degree. Okay. The B section of this question is 4.22b. Find the components of A vector is equal to 2i cap plus 3j cap along the directions of vectors I cap plus j cap and I cap minus j cap. So to solve this question, we need to understand the concept of components. Okay, now usually we are familiar with the components of x-axis and y-axis, isn't it? So if you have a vector, so I'll do a rough working here. If I have a vector, and if I want to find out the x component of this vector, that is, this is the x-axis, so this will be the x component. Okay, so let us say this is a vector. So I will write that ax vector is equal to a into, if this angle is theta, I will write a cos theta multiplied by I cap. Now this I cap represents the direction of the vector in the x-axis. Okay, now whenever we find components of any vector, it's not necessary that you can find components only for x and y axis or only for x, y and z axis. You can find the component of one vector on the other for any axis, any vector. Okay, so you can find the component for any vector on any vector, component of any vector on any vector, both is possible. Okay, so here what we will do is we want to find out the component of 2 I cap plus 3 j cap along I cap and j cap. So first let us I'll not draw a diagram here, I'll just write it conceptually. So let us see here, OC vector we have written as I cap plus j cap. Okay, and here you want to find out the component of A vector on OC vector. So I'll write a statement, component of A vector on OC vector is, so that will be A cos theta multiplied by the direction of OC. Okay, so it will be the direction of OC. So OC cap, the unit vector along the vector OC. Okay, so A cos theta, what is A, what is cos theta? So we have to just solve this. If you find the value for this, you'll get the answer. Okay, so what is A cos theta into OC vector, OC cap? So OC unit vector can be written as A cos theta is equal to OC vector divided by modulus of OC. Isn't it? OC vector divided by modulus of OC vector. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply and divide by the modulus. So here I will multiply with OC modulus, divide by OC modulus. Okay, you'll see why I'm doing this. So this is not a cross product, this is a normal multiplication. And here also this is actually according to the definition, this is a magnitude of A, isn't it? So we'll write it in this manner. Now let us see in the denominator what we are getting. We are having two moduli. So what we will do, we will make the square of this. And in the numerator we have this A modulus of OC into cos theta. So that is nothing but A vector dot OC vector. Okay, that into you're having OC vector. Okay, so this is separate. So we just have to substitute all the values here and then we will get the answer. So this whole thing is multiplied with OC. Alright, so now we'll substitute the values. So we have 2I cap plus 3j cap dot I cap plus j cap divided by, what is the modulus of OC square? Equal to 2, because root 2 here we had calculated, isn't it? So the modulus of this is root 2. So root 2 square, that is equal to 2, and then what will we get? We have to multiply this with OC vector, so that is equal to I cap plus j cap. Alright, that is it. Now you will do the multiplication dot product. So 2 into 1, so that is 2 plus 3 into 1, that is 3, divided by 2 into I cap plus j cap. So your answer will be 5 by 2 in the direction of I cap plus j cap. Okay, so the component of OC along A. So component of A along OC is equal to this. Okay, so this will be your answer. Similarly, same thing we have to do for I vector minus j vector. So we will do that also. So we have component of A vector along, what was the name that we gave for that? It is OD. Okay, along OD vector, that is I minus j. Okay, so how you will do that? It is equal to A cos theta multiplied by OD cap. Okay, so modulus of A into cos theta into OD cap. So same thing we will repeat. So A vector modulus into cos theta into OD vector divided by modulus of OD into, again multiplying and dividing by the modulus of OD. Okay. Yes. So we will get divided by OD vector square and then A vector dot OD vector, that is A OD cos theta. Then this whole thing multiplied by OD vector. So we will do the calculation. So 2I cap plus 3j cap dot I cap minus j cap divided by 2 into, what is OD vector? It is I cap minus j cap. Okay, so that is it. So 2 into 1, so 2 minus 3 divided by 2 into I cap minus j cap. So that is equal to minus 1 by 2 into I cap minus j cap. So this is the component of A along I cap minus j cap. That is it. So it is the answer. The next question is 4.23. For any arbitrary motion in space, which of the following relations are true? So they have given 5 relations. They are asking for any arbitrary motion, meaning any type of motion, whether it is uniform, non-uniform, accelerated, non-accelerated, any type of motion. Which of the following relations will be true, which will hold good for all the motions? So let us see the first equation. We have V average is equal to velocity at time t1 plus velocity at time t2 divided by 2. Okay, so this equation will be true only for constant acceleration type of motion. Okay, so it is not true for any arbitrary motion. It is true only for the motions where the acceleration is constant. Okay, so this is not holding true for any arbitrary motion. Then what about the second one? The second one says that V average is equal to position at T2 minus position at T1 divided by T2 minus T1. That is the final position minus initial position divided by the time interval. So this is a most basic equation for any velocity. So this is definitely true for any arbitrary motion in space. Okay, so whether it is uniform or non-uniform, you can apply this relation. Next, V vector is equal to V at time t equal to 0 plus at. So this relation also will be true only for accelerated, only when the acceleration is constant. Okay, only those type of motions you can apply this relation. Okay, so this is also not true for all arbitrary motions. Then again the same explanation for this one. So this is like the displacement is equal to initial displacement plus initial velocity into time plus half into acceleration into t. So this also A has to be constant in order for this to be true. Then what about the last relation? So A average is equal to Vt2 minus Vt1 divided by T2 minus T1. So this once again is a basic definition of acceleration. It is true for all types of motion. So the answer will be only B and E are true. All the other relations are wrong. Okay. The next question 4.24 is that a scalar quantity is the one that, whether it is obeying all these or whether based on this do we say that a quantity is scalar or not. Okay, so the first one is we have to check that. Okay, so the first one is a scalar quantity is the one that is conserved in a process. So is it necessary that all scalar quantities should be conserved, or all the quantities that are conserved can we call them as scalar quantities? So definitely it's not true. Okay, because you know so many examples are there where the scalar value is not conserved. For example, temperature, kinetic energy. Okay, sometimes kinetic energy is not conserved in a inelastic collision. Okay, so and same way there are so many vectors that are conserved. Okay, so based on conservation alone, you cannot say that a vector, a quantity is vector or a scalar. So this is false. Okay, so this is not true. Then can a scalar quantity is the one that can never take negative values. Once again, this statement is false because, so you have to give reason also, so example also. So you write down there are some quantities like kinetic energy are not conserved in inelastic collision. Clear? So you cannot specifically mention that all scalar quantities should be conserved. Okay, then a scalar quantity can never take negative values. Once again, this is false because we have so many examples. Electric potential. Okay, so I'll write electric potential, then water energy. Yes, and we have so many examples are there which can take negative values. For example, temperature. Okay, so that also can take negative values. So it's not necessary that scalar quantities cannot take negative values. Then must be dimensionless, definitely false, because so many quantities are there which are having dimensions. For example, mass, volume, area, temperature, density, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so electric potential, kinetic energy, everything, they all have dimensions. Okay, so they cannot be considered, a scalar quantity is not the one which is dimensionless. Okay, it's not just a number, it is a physical quantity. Okay, so and then the fourth one is, a scalar quantity is the one that does not vary from point to point in space. So once again, it's not true, because you have so many scalar quantities. For example, density, okay, which varies from point to point. Okay, so the density of a gas in the atmosphere varies from point to point, pressure varies from point to point. So you have so many different scalar values, scalar quantities, which changes as you move from one point to the another in space. Okay, so this is also false. But then last one, a scalar quantity is the one that has the same value for observers with different orientation of axis. So this statement is true, because scalar values will not change depending upon which orientation of axis we are taking. Okay, so the value of the axis will not interfere with the value of the scalar. Okay, so the scalar magnitude will not change with the orientation of axis, whereas for a vector definitely it will change, because you're defining the vector based on the axis that you're choosing. But for scalar quantities, that is not the case. Okay, so that will be the conclusion. The next question, 4.25, is that an aircraft is flying at a height of 3,400 meter above the ground, and if the angle subtended at a ground observation point by the aircraft positions 10 seconds apart is 30 degree. What is the speed of the aircraft? So first we have to draw a diagram for a better imagination. So there is a ground, and then the aircraft is 3,400 meter above the ground. Okay, and then the person on the ground is observing the position of the aircraft, which is 10 seconds apart. So let us say it is starting from the point A to point B. He is observing the aircraft for 10 seconds. So in 10 seconds it travels from point A to point B, and the angle of the observation that it makes is equal to 30 degrees. Okay, so this angle is 30 degree, which means this half angle will be equal to 15 degree. Now they are asking us to find out what is the speed of the aircraft. Now to find out speed, what do we need? We need the distance travelled by time taken. Okay, distance travelled by time taken. So you know very well the time taken to cover A to B. Okay, if it is 10 seconds, then what will be the time taken to cover half of the distance? So let us say that this is O. Okay, the time taken to cover A to O will be 5 seconds, and we can easily calculate this length. Okay, so this is a distance traveled, this is a time taken. Okay, so speed will not vary, because this is moving with a constant speed. Okay, so even though if you take the full length and the total time, you are going to get the same value only. You can try it if you want. Okay, so this side we know. What is this side? This is the adjacent side. We want to find out the opposite side. So we will take tan 15. So tan 15 is equal to opposite by adjacent. So OA divided by 3,400. Okay, so what is the value of OA? OA is equal to 3,400 multiplied by tan 15. The value of tan 15 is 0.2679. You can use your logbook to find out this. 2679. Then the answer is 910.86 meter. So that is the distance travelled. Okay, so how much time it is taking to cover this distance? 5 seconds. So therefore the speed required is 910.86 meter divided by 5 seconds, which is equal to 182.2 meter per second. So this is your required speed.